Hello and welcome back to SnowRunner, and I have here the new Kenworth W990, and it's new for me, but it'll probably be a couple of weeks old by the time I get this video out. But it's a new standalone DLC truck. So far, from what I've seen of it, it's not bad. Is it really worth its own standalone DLC? Probably not, unless you want to have everything in the game, like me. If you're just thinking of buying a DLC, it's probably not going to be this one that you buy. However, we can still look at the customization. There is 3 standard engines that I think are fairly common across American trucks. And then there's the Prime C13, which is just more powerful. It has quite a lot of torque. Standard gearboxes selection. It has a raised suspension available. It's probably a generic raised suspension that is found somewhere in the base game and applies to all trucks of this kind. The tyres, you may notice there's these special new ones because as well as this truck they also released a DLC with a bunch of new tyres and rims, and that's cool, and they all actually have different traction values. It's not just visual. However, the tyres that it comes with are the best, so it's going to stay on those. Its off-road tyres are actually more akin to mud tyres than off-road tyres. But yeah, there's a bunch of new tyres for vehicles in the other new DLC because of course they released 2 DLCs at once. And for a lot of vehicles, especially Scouts, the new tyres are better, but not for this. It comes with an engageable diff lock from the factory, and you can add a spare wheel on the back. Snorkels, you have none, basically none, and actual snorkels. And then it gets your standard selection of add-ons. I mean, nothing unique in here. For the visuals, you get some sun visors, trunk repair supplies, which are, for some reason, part of the visuals. You can add this thing that the game calls a roof fender. I think it's just an aerodynamic thing that have when they're pulling a trailer, and on that you can put these roof fog lights. Without it, they look kind of weird because they just float, but you can't equip them without it. However, trunk repair supplies is obviously more important. 300 repair parts and 140 fuel is pretty good, especially considering the size. Front bumpers, you have the stock one, reinforced bar, which looks kind of funny, and then heavy duty pipe. Both of these are quite quirky. This one's kind of cooler. We're going to put this one on because it's cool. You're going to have some more horns on the side, some horns on the top, some more horns on the top. Then you have stuff that you can barely see, but on the side of the wheel, you can choose to have some fenders or some slightly less sticky out fenders. Or alternatively, you just don't. Exhausts, you have stock, you have this weird triple thing that I don't think would actually be any better because it's still coming from the same pipe, it's just splitting into 3. And you have the flap cap, and for some reason I just like flap cap exhausts, so I put them on everything. And unfortunately, despite the fact that they've released this at the same time as the rims DLC, the Kenworth W990 wheels don't have any rim options. Its custom ink thing looks like this. I'm not entirely sure what it's supposed to be, and the other ones, I mean, they're not bad, just none of them are my colours, and nothing special in the decorations. However, what you may have noticed as I went through that is that there is no all-wheel drive. This thing cannot have all-wheel drive, it's not compatible with it, which is unfortunate, although it does have diff locks, so it's not terrible. If you take it outside the garage and have a look at it in the slightly snowy Scandinavia, obviously you've got lights and stuff. We can change the suspension mode, which puts down this slightly awkwardly small set of wheels. They look kind of silly because they're weirdly small in comparison to the wheels that I put on this thing. They're also useless, so we're going to ignore those. If we turn it on, it is currently burning 3.4 litres per minute at idle. So far, from what I've seen of it, even pulling heavy loads, it doesn't go much over 12, liters per minute, which, I mean, obviously that is quite a lot of fuel, but in comparison to a lot of heavy trailer pullers, it's not that bad. Now, this video wasn't intended to actually be a review of this truck. I was actually going to do the next part of the contract with movie set stuff around. So, next part is to go get the plane fuselage from Kola Peninsula that is being over here, and we have to go bring that back up to this map. We're going to go to the South Gateway and drive down there, although I may go back up the other way, because getting up the top of the mountain is kind of awkward from any route. And apparently this thing wants to drift. What was that? It just decided to go sideways. That's a new one. This corner up ahead, I have had numerous bad experiences with trucks trying to slide and having accidents, and this truck is no exception. It just doesn't want to turn. It just wants to slide straight into that, and we have utterly broken it. You saw nothing. As you can see, the big engine that we put in this thing is quite powerful, and it goes quite fast. And sometimes it exceeds its grip, although everything exceeds its grip around this corner up here. I don't know what it is about it. It's not like it's icy or anything, although from the way everything seems to be driving around, it might be. Now, can we drive straight through here? It didn't take any damage, so that's good. Now, as you can see, without all-wheel drive, when we go into mud, we kind of slow down a bit. And it's gonna make it through. This thing is actually fairly competent. It's just kind of slow at mud because of the lack of all-wheel drive. Like, an all-wheel drive vehicle would just move faster. In terms of the interior, there is an interior. There are lots of switches and dials and things that I don't understand. And the dashboard looks very fancy and modern. It's going to be the most fancy modern looking dashboard in any vehicle. And very importantly, the horn test. I haven't actually heard it yet. Oh, that's rather underwhelming. So I've made it to the bottom of the second map. The only difficulties that I had arose from my personal issues of skill rather than the truck, which is good for the truck. As you can see, the terrain isn't that hard. The all-wheel drive is not really necessary here. Again, we would be faster, but it's not going to get stopped by this bit of mud, and this is without any weight on the rear wheels. It gets more traction with more weight. So let's back up the trailer, and as you can see, it is centered basically over the rear wheels. In fact, it's almost slightly behind the center of them, which means that you can go over some probably quite extreme terrain with this, and the only thing that will get caught is the trailer itself getting high-centered rather than it being the truck's fault. And the significant power from the engine means that it can probably pull heavy things up hills. In many ways, this thing is quite comparable to the Pacific P12, because big truck, all-wheel drive, lots of power, mostly good at pulling things. But yeah, we're making it out of here with no difficulty whatsoever. Now it's kind of stuck. Hang on. Can we do some slight cheesing shenanigans and do that? There we go. That is the advantage of having manoeuvred this exact trailer before. Getting it out of Kola Peninsula in the first place was difficult, and I had to use all of the cheese tactics available, like unpacking it, just clip it through things, and now I have to somehow get it down a road that it is wider than. Well, that was surprisingly painless. I thought I was going to have significantly more difficulty getting it down that road. I thought around some of those corners it was definitely going to get caught on all of the poles, but it didn't. They managed to sort of squeeze past them all. Now I just have to do the same again all the way up this map. Although I don't have to go all the way across this map. We're going to go up here where the road goes up into the mountain, and then we're going to go this way. And from there, yeah, I'll probably just take it up the hill because the ski slope is the easiest bit to drive up. We have to get it up here and up that bit. But that's probably still easier than driving it all the way over to the warehouse town area just to drive up here and around there. So, yeah, we'll see. The hardest bit is definitely yet to come, and I have rather unhelpfully left it driving away. Yeah, can we squeeze past it? No, we're just gonna... Oh, I've not watched the track. I was watching the trailer, and this is why you should not really drive from the perspective of your trailer, because then you lose sight of the vehicle that actually is doing the driving and the steering. Well, this is a bit of a problem. It doesn't really fit through here. I tried taking the corner wide, and I guess it wasn't wide enough. So we're gonna have to do some off-roading with the trailer already. Yeah, there we go. It's just about fitting through. Yeah, there we go. Just gotta clonk the tails on a bit more. I'm sure the tail fins will be perfectly fine. And now I've got to fit it through these stupid flags, because you would think these little flag things would fall over like little trees when you crash into them. But no, they are completely and utterly solid. So I'm not entirely sure we can fit this through here. And there we go. Was also not as hard as I thought it was going to be. And now I'm going to swap back over to actually looking at the truck, because this is the bit that I might need to pay attention to the truck for. The lack of a wheel drive will most definitely hinder us on snow. Fortunately, the snow down this end of the slope is not too deep. I probably should not have gone this way. I should have gone the other side of this little bit of rock. And we are stuck on a rock. Come on. You can beat some small rocks. You have 228,000 torque. We've run out of winch points, and we've run out of grip. Is it just because it's trying to climb over a rock? Oh, and now the tail's going to get caught on the wonky hitbox of the overhanging rock up there. Oh, it's got through. Now I just have to not completely break the truck by sending it down this cliff here. And I have got it beached. Why didn't I think that would happen? Yeah, that seems obvious now, that it would just get beached. Yay, the winch can reach over there. Can we just pull it with a winch? Okay, well, now it's no longer caught on the tree, it's just slightly stuck in the mud. Yeah, there are no winch points up here for the truck to attach to. No, I have finally managed to maneuver it out of the mud. And now I just have to climb this rocky hill. It's the rocks that are really the difficulty with this, not the hill. So far, what I'm getting from this truck is that its strengths is torque, and its weaknesses is mud and rocks, which is slightly problematic in a game about off-roading, where there is quite a good amount of rocks and mud. It really just does not have the traction here either. I just cannot pull it up this hill. There we go. Eventually pulled it up the hill. Yeah, this thing also has issues with traction. Oh, and this ice breaks, doesn't it? Yeah, having no all-wheel drive trying to get through this breakable ice is... yeah, it's not going to work very well. Maybe I should have gone the other route. That may have been easier. Somehow I managed to make it all the way up the rest of that little ice area without needing the winch again. It just sort of drove over all the breakable ice, and it didn't quite break in time for us to fall in. We're encountering another issue of it doesn't fit around this corner either. And I can't really take it any wider. Apparently, that bit of the plane just phases through trees. Yes. Well, that makes things easier. Now then, are we going to get the trailer beached on this ridge of rock in the middle? I think the answer is going to be yes. But to avoid getting caught on this ridge, I'm now trying to sneak past it by going this way. And this isn't exactly working either. I guess we just have to unpack it and phase it through some more trees. Please don't fall off. Yeah, the lack of all-wheel drive does mean it does have traction issues sometimes. And now I just have to fit it around this corner. It might fit. We might break the truck in the process. Or I might just have to do a bit of rock crawling on the way around. Managing to pull it through so far. And then it immediately stops. As we're so close why don't I just grab the random other vehicle? So let's just use this and give it a bit of a pull up this last bit. Just give it a good yank and then it will probably move. Or not. With a bit of help from the dairy, we have got it to the top of the hill. Yeah, now we just have to drive it over here, and hopefully there'll be a better cutscene than last time. And there we go. Wow. That was an epic cutscene. That is basically it for this video. That was what I was planning to do. However, I do just want to quickly show off some of the new tyres. So on the Pacific P12 here, there's actually 6 different mud heavy single tyres available, and the ones with the best mud values are the 4, and they are better than the DMHS one that we were using before, because actually all 3 of the DMHS have the same values despite looking very different. They have all the same values and they just share it with the MHS one, but these all have different values. You can also see that they have a few options of rims. This is not actually the most options. These are the standard ones that we had before, and now we have these and these. But yeah, it looks quite a bit wider than it did before. That's probably because it is. I'm not sure whether the width is wider, or I should check that in the files. Yeah, they are actually wider. These ones have a width of 0.79, whereas all of these have a width of 0.65. Basically everything that I was using mud tyres on before, the standard mud tyres, is now going to be using these because they're better. However, they are not quite as good as the balloon tyres that things like the Ank here get, and things like this American stuff that don't get mud tyres, they only get off-road tyres. The UOD2 is slightly better than any of the OMD ones. There's also the JAT MSH ones, which are basically the same as normal MSH ones. I think they are very slightly different, but it's basically the same. But where it makes the most difference is on Scouts, because these new ones, these new tyres, look how wide they are. I mean, yeah, they're pretty wide, and to be honest, they are quite wide on everything. They also look so much better. If you look at the normal MS, they look kind of weird. I mean, there's probably mud tyres in real life that look like this, but these look significantly more off-roady. Anyway, the numbers on those for Scouts are actually, I wouldn't say significantly better, but it is noticeably better. Also, one last thing, we can now change the Natarin's tyres, because previously it could only get these. Now you can put it on these ones. The MSH2 has the best mud values out of any of the JAT MSH ones, and it's only at 3.2, whereas the Tatarin stock ones have a mud value of 8. But if you want to, you can now put it on different wheels, which you could not do before. With all the trucks that are currently sitting around in my storage, I have swapped the tyres over, but obviously there's a load more sitting around on the maps, and I'm not going to recall them all just to swap the tyres for something marginally better. But when I recall them all when I finish this region, I will upgrade all their tyres to the fancy new ones. But that's going to be it for this video, so thanks for watching, don't get distracted, go subscribe now, and until next time, goodbye.